rest of the champagne. For a moment, he considered drinking it. That would be one way of making it gone, but of course that was absurd. He needed to have his wits about him during the performance. Time to begin the ritual, the beginning of a new life. He retrieved the 2 glasses from where they glowed upon a shelf, their wide bowls open to the night. Then he slid the photograph out of his breast pocket. He propped it on a stack of books. Uncorking the champagne, he poured out the 2 glasses, lifted one in a toast. The warmth of the liquor smashed against the back of his throat like a wave of joy, unexpected and familiar. "Here we go, kiddo," he said, tilting the glass toward the photograph before taking a second sip. He sat back, closed his eyes briefly, and then opened them. If only he could cork up the champagne again, hold the trapped air in its bubbles tight inside the bottle for just a little longer. The knock came at the door. "Mr. Delaney, 5 minutes." It was time. He gulped down the rest of the glass's contents, barely tasting it, and set it down empty next to its still full twin. He stood for a moment, resting the full weight of his palms on the desk, looking down at the glasses and the bottle and the photograph. Then he tucked the photograph back in his breast pocket. When he opened the door, the crowd's murmur instantly expanded, nearly swallowing him in its roar. With fewer than 16 hours to live, Frederick Delaney stepped into the backstage corridor on his way to the lights and the applause and the accolades that he was certain would soon be his. He passed a colored custodian. "Addie," he told her, "have a fresh bottle of champagne waiting for me when I come back. And that half a bottle on my desk, get rid of it. But leave the champagne in the glass." Act 1. Bern. Chapter 1. The Extra K. Bern. Professor Bern Hendricks was late to class when the sound of an incoming email pinged in his inbox. He'd put on his favorite blue pinstripe short sleeve, but nobody would notice under his jacket, and, wouldn't you know, there was a wrinkle right under the pocket. The jacket didn't completely cover it. So he'd had to haul out the ironing board and heat up the iron, and that took longer than it should have. Now he was running a good 10 minutes late. But with the Quicksilver Symphony flooding his earbuds, how could he hurry? The students could wait a few more minutes. Maybe he should just skip class altogether, he thought. The Quicksilver was the obvious excuse. Delaney's Quicksilver, so called because of the extraordinary melding of alto and tenor saxes layered over French horns, was one of Bern's absolute favorites. Bizet had effectively used an alto sax in his L'Arlésienne suite, but Delaney's Quicksilver took it to an entirely different level. Every time Bern listened to the Allegro moderato movement, it was as if a hole suddenly opened up in his chest and music cascaded in. No matter how many times he heard it, the melody rippled across his spine, and he shivered under its impact. "That was double good," he mumbled to himself. No wonder Frederick Delaney was the hands-down best composer, not just in America, Bern would argue, but in the entire world. So there he was, seriously considering missing a class and only his second week of teaching just to listen to a symphony he'd heard hundreds of times before, when his email chimed. He stared at his phone, hit pause on the music. Even without Delaney's music playing, it seemed as if Frederick Delaney were, right then, communicating directly with Bern from beyond the grave. The email was from the executive director of the Delaney Foundation. What were the odds that he'd get a message right when he was listening to... He opened the email. "Dear Bern, I hope you have been well since we last met. I'm reaching out with a time-sensitive matter regarding Frederick Delaney. I know that the school year has just started and you must be quite busy, but would you contact me as soon as you get this? Please call the number below, no matter the hour, from a location where you can speak freely. Someone will always be monitoring this line. Sincerely, Mallory Delaney Roberts, Executive Director."